One of the questions that comes up a lot for me and in a lot of my reading is, what is a reason not to worry about what other people think about you? A reason not to worry about what other people think about you. Interesting question. And the answer is just as interesting. So, this is not the only answer, but it is one potential answer to this question. So how could you not worry about what people think about you? Well, ask yourself this. Are you comfortable with you? If the answer were to be yes, this is a very simple, this is maybe oversimplified, but if the answer were to be yes, I'm comfortable with myself. Well, and you mean it, right? And you meant it, and you really do. And I like to say this, but I know there's holes in that answer for myself, right? They're there, okay? There's holes. However, less and less can bother you, potentially, the more comfortable you are with yourself. So where does the work start? When you want not to worry about what others think about you, where does the work begin? The work begins with you, right? Always with you. The answer to everything on this channel is you, right? Capital Y. We'll get to that later. So if you don't care about what people think about you, that means, by default, I believe, that you are very comfortable with everything and everyone, every way you are. And to get to that point, you can say, well, that's impossible, or that sounds, or I am, you might say, and it still bothers me. Okay, so let's look at it a different way. Why are you the way you are? Okay, did you elect to have the life experience you did? Did you choose all of that? I would say no. And maybe you chose everything in your life, but then that means you chose where you were born, who you were born with, under, right? The parents, siblings, friends, circumstance, country, everything. You chose all that. That would be tricky. I know I certainly didn't choose where I was born and who I was born, my parents and everything like that. But I'm grateful for all of it. And some of it can serve as a bit of a challenge, for all of us, and some of it a bit of a blessing. What I've noticed is, in most cases, you're given the problem, right? And you're given the solution, all in the same package. And that is what these teachings are all about. So how can you be less worried about what people are saying about you? What could you do? Work on being comfortable with all of it. And to do that, I can forgive myself for so much of what I do or my shortcomings, because I recognize one simple thing. I chose very little of it, of the patterns and the things that were given to me, all right, that are quote unquote mine. Now, what I can say is, working with that and being aware of it is the gift. The gift is just being aware of it as an observer of it, and not being so stuck in the story, right? The story is so deep and it's like 6-dimensional, right? Sight, smell, taste, feel, touch, everything, right? It's 6-dimensional, the story I'm living in. And it's easy to get lost in that. And when you're so stuck in it, what other people say about you is going to seem a whole lot harder to accept and digest. Since I started studying this work, in the wisdom teachings for many years, I've noticed a lot less can rattle me. Still grumpy, right? I still get angry and I still yell. I do quite a bit sometimes. But the recovery period is certainly better, and I'm aware of that. And I can also observe it and see that, man, this is something that I've observed in my life, and I'm just playing out that program. Now, when someone calls me out on something or says something mean about me, which people do, which is fine, I'm okay with it now. I'm much more okay than I was with it. And the reason is I'm much more comfortable with me. So I would say, as always, reflect and look at your story. And it is a story, right? And you like to tell your story, and so do I. I'm here telling you part of mine. so I must like it a little bit. And look at it and just be there with it, all right? And do that enough. And the next time someone calls you a mean name or says something wrong to you, and can you be more comfortable with that? Will it sting less? I don't know. But I can tell you from this experience over here, wherever it is I am, that it is easier and better when this work is done. What do I do to do this work? I work on myself. I breathe. I do formal meditation, and I do active living daily meditations, which I think is the most important part. It's practicing the practical use of the work that you do in private with the noise, right? You know the noise is unbelievable. There's so much of it. So I often joke, some of my students will ask, well, how should I meditate? I said, in real life is the answer. And what does that mean? Well, should I meditate in a noisy room? Yeah, maybe, because meditating in silence on the mountain, I've heard from so many great teachers, is wonderful and idealistic, but not always practical. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for watching as always.